Fine Freyja is not affiliated in any way with OkCupid or any other dating service. It is intended solely for critique and satire. If you find real wisdom or advice here, well, that's just a coincidence, baby. And now, it's time to get cozy. Well, baby, believe me when I tell you that I love.
I'm Natasha.
I'm Mark.
Welcome to a special episode of Fine Freyja, which we are entitling Fine Freyja Nights. Usually we're the podcast that turns online dating into a role-playing game. For this particular episode, I thought it'd be fun to get into some research on a particular concept that we've been running into lately. And since I'm all academic-y, I thought I could use some of that to bring some insights into your life about stuff. So,
I actually do want to reach way back to, I think, the first episode and correct myself with something, which was that I mentioned early on that the demographics of this site were heavily skewed to men. I actually looked up some demographics and found out that it is fairly even, though it didn't account for bots, which are primarily women because they tend to get a lot of visits.
On that note, I was looking at, or trying to find out, who exactly uses online dating. And sure enough, it really, no one really has a good idea about this. I was looking up various articles, and when I say articles, I mean research articles, not BuzzFeed.
Fed all my information from HuffPo.
Yeah, that's where I get my intel. And I couldn't find really a consensus. The closest thing I found to who uses online dating is the clearest one was people who have ambiguous sexual preferences. Which ties into the topic I wanted to discuss, which is this term we've mentioned before and that we've run into and thought maybe we should look this up, which is ethical non-monogamy. So,
right, because we've had we've seen several profiles that talk about how they're in an ethical open relationship.
Not even that, just I'm in an ethical non-monogamous relationship, and so we're what the hell does that mean?
The thought just struck me that I wonder if a lot of this is from, there was a book out a while back called The Ethical Slut. Do you remember that?
No, okay. I don't.
I remember hearing about it. I never read it, but I believe that this is probably where the term having frequent use likely comes from. I mean, I'm just speculating here, so I'm not entirely sure, but that would be a good pop culture source for it, I think.
So, in terms of research, for some background information, this is kind of my thoughts. This is the down low on research on sexuality. It comes from a tradition of white men. So you have all this, most of the research is based on heterosexual relationships to begin with. And it has taken a long time for research to kind of catch up to more diverse, inclusive standards that we have today that are reflected on dating sites. And so when I looked for this term in all the databases that I have access to as a student, I found 8 articles that referenced it. And I'm sure there are others out there that I just didn't have the time to really look into, but
that seems like a low amount.
It's not a lot.
Yeah.
And none of them actually had ethical non-monogamy in the title of the paper. So
in the entire catalog of research that you have access
just
to,
I have I
have access to
I have a lot. I
probably hundreds of thousands.
I
right?
study at a research institution. I think that they have some sort of categorization, but Like, we have a lot of, like, what we do is research at my university, so we have access to all of these journals. And just that I couldn't find anything really. Like, the one article I found was kind of asking the same question that we were asking, as in, like, what exactly is this term? So it's almost like we're kind of discovering this as we go, which is interesting.
And for our listeners, on the note of her being an academic and me not being an academic, I will be your resident dumbass for the week.
Oh, don't diminish yourself like that.
Well, I mean, I don't have the resources that you have, and I don't have the academic skills.
I don't know if you want to, because just, like, hold on and listen to this. This is how one paper starts. The study examined the frequency of partner-directed mate retention behaviors in several self and partner...
And I'm bored already.
Exactly. So, like, this is the kind of language I have to deal with, and then I have to make it sound interesting and fun.
You can actually understand what it means, though.
I understand what it means, but, like, halfway through the paper, even I'm just like, can we please... Like, we do not need to use... Sentences do not need to be a paragraph. That is not how you English. Stop. But so I actually found
liberal use of the Oxford comma and semicolons and parentheses
and stuff like that. I actually did find a Huffington Post article that was more helpful than any research.
So we are going into Huffington.
We kind of have to. Actually, the person...
No, I do understand that this would be a subject that's probably more geared towards popular culture, because that's kind of who's perpetuating this whole movement.
Like, well, yes, and, like, this is kind of what would happen from now is, like, I, as a researcher, would go and be like, this seems odd. I want to study it. And then I would turn to, like, these personal articles and be like, hey, what's up? Can I interview you? Can we talk about it? And I found a couple of those of people who were like-minded and wanted to know more, and kind of, like, explained their own idea of what this term ethical non-monogamy means. This Huffington Post article so nicely categorized it into these 7 categories, which are polyamory, swinging, polyfidelity, primary relationships and secondary relationships, sexually monogamous polyamory, open marriage, and everything in between.
And I think that everything in between kind of defeats the purpose of having a list in the first place.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because it's like, everything, who knows?
Yeah, it was kind of like, so in a way it was a helpful, it helped me realize this was not a helpful article.
It's like asking, like, what are foods? Bananas, pizza, and everything else that you can eat.
So that about explains ethical non-monogamy, in that it doesn't explain it at all. The only other article I found helpful, which is the first one I read, was from this site called Time Out. I've never heard of them. Don't know if they're credible or not. But it was just this woman who was...
and read the title, because I think it's relevant to us.
That's true. It says, what the hell is ethical non-monogamy, and why is it all over my Tinder? And so it was just this woman who saw that 2 men that she was... who were both... fuck if I know how Tinder works. But they, like, had agreed to talk, and these 2 guys were into ethical non-monogamy, and so she interviewed them and asked them about that. So that's the only thing I have to go off of. And basically they both said it's kind of just like polyamory.
Right. And, I mean, Tinder is... people don't use it for this exclusively, but by and large it started as a hookup app. So I imagine that there was a lot of kind of connotations with that, of people saying, like, oh, people use it to cheat, which I'm sure people do. And... so I think that a lot of people really needed to kind of distance themselves from that mentality and just have an open way of saying, like, it's totally okay that I'm doing this, whether or not that's true. But it's still, it's a little code word that I think people use to say, I'm not just keeping you a secret from my primary significant other, or, just sleeping around without any sort of repercussions.
We were talking about this the other night, and I brought up the point of the word ethical, and just, like, how every relationship, like, this, like, we're kind of getting at, like, this is kind of a, I don't know what you would call it, because I'm not the word master like you are, but,
I can words good.
You can words good, but it's, like, what does ethical mean in this context?
And really, any relationship should be ethical. I mean, if you're in a relationship and you're doing unethical things to each other, break up. Because that's not healthy.
Because stop.
That's not a healthy relationship. It's not a good relationship. If somebody's, abusing you or cheating on you, get out. Get help.
So I think that was what was bothering me the most, is, like, ethics? Like, don't you mean, like, good communication? And, like, from what I was reading, that's basically what people were saying, is, like, oh, the ethical part means that we trust each other and we have communications, like walkie-talkies. That we talk to each other and we set boundaries. And to me, I was like, so healthy relationship stuff?
Like, oh, well, we're not in a typical relationship. We talk to each other and we trust each other.
Sadly enough, these are the times we live in.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about how many people get into relationships because they were initially attracted to each other physically, or, just said, like, oh, we have this thing in common. Who cares about anything else?
Until it matters.
And that's why the romance industry is toxic.
That is a separate Freyja Nights. So, the ethical part shouldn't be part of non-monogamy. Like, it should be implied in a non-monogamous relationship that you're doing it ethically.
Right. If you say that you're in a non-monogamous relationship, I think it's implied that you're not being deliberately an asshole. Because, what kind of person, like, if you saw on a profile, like, yeah, I'm cheating on my spouse, come and get at me. What kind of responses would that elicit? You'd probably get more hate mail than anything else.
Yeah, and...
or you'd be on Ashley Madison. Which is another whole can of worms.
There are tons of studies on that, actually.
Yeah, that's another whole can of worms because, it's a site entirely dedicated to cheating on your spouse or your significant other, and implied to be, your spouse, to have an extramarital affair. And the study that came out when they actually... who was it that actually hacked the site? Was it Anonymous or something? I don't know. But... that turned out that the majority, like I was saying before, the majority of the women were bots and the majority of the men were married. So when it exposed their information, it was just pretty much men in an echo chamber talking to women who didn't exist. And I think the vast majority of people never really got anything from it, but they charge you money for it. So they're basically getting free money from people who are willing to cheat, which is kind of, zero sum. It's
ethics.
Right.
You're doing it wrong. Another point I wanted to bring up with this idea of non-monogamy is that we treat it like it's a new idea.
Right.
When cross-culturally, because a lot of the times you don't see the cross-cultural perspective in the media, but it's everywhere in research.
Well, I think most people's familiarity with non-monogamy is like Mormons.
Yeah, but they're look all over the world. Like, take a anthropology
or like harems.
Perspective. But there's so many examples in the world of polygamy, of polygyny, which is, I think that's when women have Is it? But I have a thing here that says the marriage of one man to two or more women. Polyandry, the marriage of one woman to two or more men. Polygynandry, group marriage. Communal living,
Polygynandry, maybe?
Yeah, fuck fight words, they're hard.
But I think polygamy is the umbrella term.
Polygamy, yeah. Well, that's where I was confused because people were saying... So in the research studies I found, they were saying non-consensual or consensual polygamy or non-monogamous relationships. So we've got just a word salad going on right now, and I think...
Non-consensual polygamy sounds like you're married, but you go out and sexually assault someone.
Wouldn't that be like pillaging?
Kinda?
In a way. But they're just... Yeah, so we're just kind of talking about what exactly... What is the umbrella term here?
It's bigamy, isn't it?
Bigamy, the act of going through a marriage ceremony while already married to another person.
Okay, so that's just
completely
marriages.
Different, yeah. But
polygamy...
Polygamy is the practice or custom of having more than one wife or husband at the same time.
So it's the same thing.
No, because the other one doesn't say if they know or not that you're having another marriage.
Well, neither does this.
That's true. Then what's the... I
think they're just different words for the same thing.
Okay, so this is the problem with this entire conversation, is there are too many words. We've nuanced the fuck out of this this concept.
Well, I mean, look at all the gender things that we had to go through to even create a profile. There were, things that neither of us had heard of, but also kind of mean the same thing. Like there are specific cultural things which also mean, similar connotations in other cultures or in white culture, let's say, or non-specific culture, which have the same definition but are exclusive to that specific culture. So generally what they're saying is that you're part of this culture, but you're also this other word. So that's why I think a lot of people would click more than one. And then we had that one question a while back of that guy who said, did you seriously pick 10 genders as a joke? And no, it wasn't a joke. It's not a real thing that we are, person. but in our creation of this character of Freyja, we did decide that she was all of those things. And I think it's someone's right to do that.
I agree. But I also think maybe perhaps it's to our disadvantage, or at least to the disadvantage of people who use online dating, to have so many categories, because it also, from a different perspective, doesn't allow you to ask, like, right. Hey, what does other mean?
Right.
I'm curious. Let me know more about your preferences, because just like saying this one word and now you're under this category, people have assumptions about that. So it kind of, in a way, doesn't allow you to create more conversations about that particular topic. And when you're talking about sexuality, you want to have that conversation. Like, what does that mean to you? What are your sexual preferences? Like, how do you do polygamy? Like, it's not just, oh, I'm a polygamist like everyone else. Mm-hmm. You know us, the polygamers.
The polygamers?
Polygamers.
Is that a new...
The polygamers.
I feel like that's a new, animated series on Adult Swim or something.
The polygamers?
The polygamers.
What series would that be, like?
It's like everyone in the entire family
would that be
has multiple significant others.
Would that be like the Brady Bunch, but with polygamy?
Kinda. It's like, here's the story of a man named Brady who was bringing up 3 boys of his own, and also several other wives, children, and also all of the boys were married to several other women. And men.
And men.
Why not?
Just throw
I mean, not at the time that show was airing, but...
No.
But I imagine it being something like that.
Anyway.
And then their maid, Alice, who also has several spouses.
Since I've never...
And there was a show about that, though, Big Love.
Yeah, there was. That was not too long ago. So I feel like we need to have less vocabulary in this issue, because I'm just confused now.
Yeah, and I think it's unrealistic whether you're talking about relationship preferences or gender or sexuality. I think that it's unrealistic to expect everyone else to know, because it's basically like, if you look at what people are doing to the LGBTQ acronym, there's pretty much an entire alphabet on there, and I've heard people of multiple genders and sexual preferences talk about that and say, no, there's too many. Like, what is the one? It's like QQTIAL something.
The one that I recognize is LGBTQS. No, LGBTQ2S, I think, for Two-Spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've just seen it as 2.
LGBTQ.
But I've generally only seen that here in Canada.
Because it's a indigenous perspective.
But
like,
I mean, there are
to
indigenous people in the States, of course.
Too, but
I don't know if they use that there, do they?
I actually don't know.
It'd be a good thing to research.
It's a movement I've seen here.
Yeah.
Very heavily, because we incorporated at our university, or at least several departments do. You know, the like social justice ones.
And First Nation culture is quite prominent here.
First Nation, Inuit, and Métis.
Yes.
Yes. You learned something today. Congratulations.
If you didn't already
Here's
know.
your knowledge
I mean, we're just assuming that our listeners have no idea.
Yeah, we don't know where you're from. Probably a lot of Americans out there. Let us know.
Probably a few Canadians.
Tweet us. Tell us where you're from. We'd like to know. We'd like to hear from you. It gets lonely out here.
Hashtag Fine Freyja.
The last thing that I think I have to add to this is I was looking at a economic model of a efficiency in finding a partner online. So this was trying to find an algorithm that allows people to, or not, I think it was just describing how people actually find mates on online dating sites. And I didn't read half of it, because half of it was just like math, and I'm like, nope. But what I got out of it was that apparently online dating isn't as efficient as we think it is for finding partners.
Well, also, I mean, it depends entirely on several factors, like, are you a creep? You know, like, are you good at drawing attention to yourself on a profile? Can you write a well-worded profile? Can you take good enough pictures to attract someone? And we've seen this plenty of times, are your opening messages any good? Like, how are your communication skills online? Because there are so many factors working against you in sites like OkCupid or Tinder or Plenty of Fish or anything like that, where it almost seems like the goal of these sites existing is to, not let people match up. And considering they charge money, that's probably a bonus for them.
Well, the one thing about this algorithm is that when you have so many terms like we've just talked about, that clouds the algorithm.
Right.
So it makes it harder
waters down the pool, basically.
Yeah, so it makes it harder to find exactly what you're looking for. And the specific study that I looked at, in the results section, there were a lot of, fuck if I know, like, we couldn't determine a lot from the sample because there was just too much.
Well, it's like going to a conference and having every specific topic being in its own little room, and then sitting in an empty room and wondering why no one's coming to see you because your interests are this very specific one that not a lot of people are going to seek out and find.
Sometimes that happens, though.
At conferences?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware. I've been to conferences.
Yeah, so I think... I just think there's a problem here with having all of these specific terms. My summary for this is, one, the fuck is ethical non-monogamy? We still haven't figured this one out. We've kind of decided, I think, that we have word salad here.
Yeah.
And we need further clarification that we probably won't get ever, or at least not until someone else figures this out.
So, with that done, and that was an interesting topic of discussion. I'd like to have more of these in our episodes. We're gonna get back into the usual meat of our podcast, and
Okay, is there a vegan option?
and I think we're gonna start with our messages, of which we have 8 right now. Thankfully, we are getting more stories from people. Oh, this already sounds interesting. I want to be straightforward. I want someone to connect with romantically, physically, and emotionally. I don't understand putting stresses on a relationship by always worrying about the future. I believe in finding a partner to coexist with socially in the long term. But in the meantime, I don't want a date to turn into an interview. Women are a raison d'etre. Inspiration for my life and my life's work. I want to enjoy your being a woman, and I have the man in me to share.
Oh my.
Wow, dude.
That's coming on strong.
Yeah. I mean, kudos for being straightforward. I'll give you that.
Can you connect with someone more than romantically? Can you connect with someone, like, cosmically?
I bet Freyja thinks she can.
And dude, I want to meet you in the 5th dimension.
I mean, that's neat, but it sounds like a form letter. You know? Yeah. It's probably something that he sends to everybody.
Probably.
So, cool story, bro.
I do like the idea of, like, I want to enjoy your being a woman. Like, I don't know what that implies, but I kind of like it.
So, yeah. Yeah, I'm more just kind of taken aback by, like the reason I read it in that voice is because it came off very forceful. Sort of like, hey, I've got your attention. Now I need to desperately recite this to you.
Even though you don't have our attention.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hey girl, I have no horrifying or funny story for dating other than I'm really bad at remembering names, but I remember faces forever. I'm with a team of makers. We're going to spend only one night in blank. Since we don't know anybody there sometime, this network helps us meet new interesting souls. Perhaps you would have time to come see us and share part of blank with us.
What is a maker?
I don't know. Do we want to quickly Google what makers are? Designer,
well,
maker.
Apparently, this guy's either a welder or a member of Daft Punk.
I think welder.
Okay.
She.
I'm sorry for assuming your gender, ma'am.
Indeed. Our apologies. And that was a very polite letter, too.
It was.
It was like, oh, I wouldn't mind meeting up with you. Sure, why not?
Right. So.
Because it wasn't, like, sexual. It was just like, hey, let's chill.
Yeah.
Maybe for a while.
I'm curious about, like, perhaps you would have time to come see us, though.
Sure.
Are you like a traveling circus?
Yeah, they might be. They might have, like, a
technology-based extension of DIY culture
that intersects with hacker culture. So maybe they're
metalworking, woodworking, so like arts and crafts.
They
apparently?
Probably have like a studio or something that maybe.
So
they're
literally makers, as in like make stuff.
That actually sounds badass.
Yeah, it's too bad that we're fake.
Yeah, I almost be like, sorry, we're actually a podcast, but we think you're rad. If you're ever in Vancouver, you just let us know.
I mean, I could say that. We could contact her later and just be like, hey, we want to hang.
We'll talk, because that sounds like a legitimately... Except she thinks we're Freyja, and we're not Freyja. Like,
No, but we can reveal our hand to some people, I suppose.
Yeah.
And that might be a good bit of advertising. Be
so?
like, hey, listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, if that does loop around and you're listening to us, hey, we think you're pretty cool.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, yeah. So we've got...
Hi there. I'm loving your explanations to some of the questions. I'm really getting a kick out of it. You even changed my mind on some of them. Also, the fact that you are friends with your exes is definitely a positive. It makes me think that you are good at having healthy relationships. I haven't actually had many online dates yet to get stories from, but just recently someone asked me to have a threesome in order to teach their new to sexy times boyfriend how to foreplay/oral, which would have been pretty fun if he had been into it.
I assume he wasn't.
I hope the summer is going well for you, smiley face.
This is the guy who won last week, who won our top
That's
3.
That's true. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and he seemed like a really cool guy.
Oh yeah, I remember this
guy.
Yeah.
He was another ethical.
This is the sword fighter.
Yeah, he's the fencer. Yeah. No, this guy seems really cool, and
hey, you seem cool. We're a podcast,
and it's like it's a shame in some ways that we don't have somebody to meet up with him.
Send out. We could find a Freyja.
I suppose we could, but that seems kind of disingenuous.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, let's hire an actor. Actually, you're on a hidden camera show. The only hidden camera dating podcast.
Oh God, we do not need to.
There probably is one somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, this I'm glad to hear from you, sir.
Yeah.
And
you seem pretty cool.
Yeah. Hello, how's it going? I just made this account, saw you, and wanted to message you. You sound amazing. I'd like to know more about you.
Delete.
Yeah.
Deleting your face.
Hello.
Hi, Freyja. You're looking fine.
No, you're fine.
You're fine looking. I'm interested. Great.
That was a clever pun on our name. What?
Hi. How's your day coming along? So you want to know a scary dating story? Oh God. I have a few bad ones. A couple have some good to them, but I will keep it tame. One time I went bowling and got kind of smashed, and I was a lightweight, and I got all macho and picked up my date and carried her around the bowling alley. Then went to sit down and rest her on my lap, and I kind of dropped her. Everyone stopped playing and looked at me with disdain. A few laughed at me too. There you go, a tame one. LOL. If you want more, you're gonna have to share what is your craziest spontaneous adventure you ever had.
With a question?
Yeah. Why would you tell someone that you dropped your date?
This guy's also more anime than match.
Oh man. That just I wouldn't tell that story to someone until I was like really comfortable with them. Be like, hey, one time I got drunk and dropped someone.
We did ask for horror stories.
We did, but like that's a horror story that badly reflects yourself.
Right.
Like that doesn't sell yourself well at all.
Yeah.
So those were our messages. There are definitely 2 in there that I think we'll need to talk about to see if we actually want to be like, hey.
Yeah. Like the guy from last week and the maker.
We'll have to see the ethics about this.
Right, yeah. Since this is an ethics-themed episode, I think we could definitely get into that.
The ethics of being a fake profile. We're not doing something
we did specify
ethical.
that we're not catfishing anyone.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to string anyone along. We are doing this for entertainment purposes and also like critique and satire. It's like we say at the top of the show.
Like, yeah, no, like the funny thing is, like, if I wanted to do this, like, as research, I would have to go through an ethics board.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Which is not an easy process.
No, I suppose you could, though. This could be your thesis.
You know I already have a dissertation planned out, and it has absolutely nothing close to this.
Okay. So, do you want to do a few questions?
We can do a few questions, and I hope they all have to do... Oh,
Is
God.
mansplaining a thing? Yup.
Yes, and it's awful. Yes, but it's not a big deal. Nope, not a thing.
Yes, and it's awful.
Answers will accept. Yes, and it's awful. This is very important.
I think this is very important to her. And I do want to qualify, because a lot of people will say, like, oh, it's just being condescending. Anyone can be condescending, which is true, but I do want to mention that, and I'm about to mansplaining to you. I do want to point out that the term mansplaining describes a specific sort of being condescending, which is speaking to specifically women in a condescending tone because you don't think they can understand what you mean because you're a smart man and they're a stupid woman.
Funny enough, no one's ever tried to mansplain me. I wonder why.
You definitely have the personality of someone who won't take that shit.
I think it's just the look alone.
But I have witnessed it, and I've done my best to say, like, that's not cool, dude. But it's funny how you see people getting so defensive about it, and really, when you point out a behavior of white straight cis men, the fact that they get so defensive, like disproportionately offended by it or defensive about it, is pretty much proof that there's a problem.
Oh, you're attacking my fragile manhood.
Like rather than listen to somebody or be like, oh, sorry, my bad, I'll, try to fix that sort of thing, which is something I try to do as much as I can. They will double down and dig their heels in and, move their goalposts back and be like, well, no, I'm not doing that. There's this other factor involved. It's like, no, I'm just a regular run-of-the-mill condescending douchebag. Not a misogynist one. Why would you even think that?
Oh, God.
But yeah, it is a thing, and it's terrible. Do we need to have her explain that?
No, but I really wish someone would try to do it to me. Just like, I would love the opportunity to be like, excuse me, sir. You stop right there and let me tell you some important facts about reality that'll blow your mind.
Well, I assume you will probably run into it in academia. Because it is sort of a man's world, isn't it?
It is more and more becoming a woman's world, and it depends on which field you're in.
Right.
Medicine, a man's world. Psychology, a women's world.
That's good to know.
Not necessarily. There are some very manly women in psychology. But psychology is a huge field. Like in educational psychology, which is what I do, heavily women, but in my specific department, very balanced. And so it really just kind of depends from discipline to discipline. And I haven't had bad experiences as a graduate student. I have as a graduate student, I feel like I've been treated mostly as an equal to researchers who are like tenured and like professors and whatnot. So I haven't really encountered, the few things I've encountered have been like stigma related and like,
ageism too, right?
Ageism is a big one of people. 'Cause like in my program, I've been like vastly the minority. Like I started when I was 23, and most of the people in my cohort were like 30 plus, some of them in their 50s. So I definitely got some of them like, oh, you're young, like you don't know any better kind of attitudes, which I proved them wrong. That was fun.
I don't understand why people go out of their way to be a douchebag to somebody, to just like be an asshole, because it just seems like it's more difficult. Because if you're not resisting the factors in your own environment and kind of just, accepting whatever comes to you, instead of getting all stressed out and pent up and raged about this stuff, you could coexist with a lot more people and make your time on this earth much easier.
So just chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Next.
Call Sheriff Fondue or something.
Sheriff Fondue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sheriff Fondue. How are you most likely to show your partner you care? Words. Tell them how much you appreciate them. Actions. Do something nice, like a date or errand. Gifts. Buy them flowers, jewelry, or a new gadget. Touch. Give them a hug, massage, or kiss.
I like the nuance in this.
I do, but also touch is an action.
Mm-hmm.
So is gifts and wording.
Well, I think they mean actions by like gestures.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just like being a semantic asshole.
I just got through explaining how.
I know. I get the irony.
You have such an easier time.
Okay.
Share fondue.
Share fondue. We need to go for fondue. But
Clearly have something on the brain. Well, let's talk about this. You know me, I'm a wordsmith, so generally it's words.
no, it's not. You are an action person when it comes to showing that you care.
Yeah, but I mean, like I've written very lengthy letters to you, like explaining my feelings.
Not like love letters, just like here are my feels.
I feel like that's more of
That's what they're getting at
more
in
of
this
a
question,
gesture.
though. They're getting at words being like, "Oh, I love you. You're my sweetheart. I'll love you forever. You're the best."
It does say tell them how much you appreciate them, and we do that quite often.
Yes, that's true.
I appreciate you.
I also appreciate you. Gifts. We're poor.
Yeah. No, we generally like doing things together, as sort of like a date sort of thing. Like we go on hikes and things like that.
Yeah.
And I genuinely enjoy that. And
You bought me a scone the other day.
I did buy you a scone. Not in a really romantic setting. I was taking the recycling to the local depot. But, yeah, on the way back, I stopped and you wanted a parfait, but they were out of them. So I picked you up a
nice little scone.
Yeah, dark chocolate raspberry.
It was
very
great.
tasty.
Very good.
Brecca,
Did you have one too?
please advertise with us.
Brecca. Brecca, we love you.
24/7 bakery in our area. It's fantastic.
Man. Oh. Touch is a great way to show someone you care. Love someone with your genitals.
But yeah, it says hug, massage, or kiss.
Is having sex showing someone you care?
Not always,
No,
but
that's true.
it can be.
Yeah.
But also cuddling.
Cuddling,
And we do plenty of that. I mean, even if it's just watching TV or a movie or something. I don't know. I feel like we kind of do all of these in some ways, and I don't know if I'm more likely to do one over the other.
No, we got all the bases covered, I think.
So how do you think Freyja would be most likely to? Because I don't think she has money, so it's not gifts.
I think she's a...
Unless it's like things she makes, like
she's
crafts.
I think she's a touch person specifically because I think she does Reiki.
But that's not touching. that's literally not touching.
But it's like a
That's more of an action.
It's spiritual touch.
In theory.
Yeah. That's what she would think, though.
Yeah.
So.
We do have to get into her mindset for these. But yeah, I don't think she's probably a woman of few words.
Yeah. I don't think she would care what anyone would really like if someone wants to like.
And you also said like she's probably kind of lazy, so I don't think the date or errand thing is her style.
No, she's the like I just appeared on a couch and someone brought me a beer. And now we're fucking. That's kind of Freyja's
We're having
life.
deep philosophical conversations, man.
And then we fuck.
Maybe she just likes chilling
with a genital near her.
A genital. Just like floating nearby a genital. There's like a floating ovary.
Yeah.
Orbiting her at all times.
Welcome to 2074. We have floating genitals.
We have done away with the need for reproductive vessels.
They now control our world.
Sentient ovaries and testicles just floating everywhere.
They police
Not
us.
like inside the flesh either. Just just the organs themselves just hovering around
Day
us.
165. We had to sneak around the compound today. We finally infiltrated through the air vents.
Oh God! Somebody please make this. Somebody please
You're
make
a
this.
writer. Why don't you do it?
I am.
This is what you
I
do.
am not pitching a movie about sentient testicles and ovaries taking over the world.
But you don't have to call them testicles or ovaries. They're monsters that happen to look like testicles.
Gonad monsters. Yeah. So you're saying that I should write this thing without saying what they are, and only I know that they're reproductive organs?
It'll be like her little secret. It'll be like a big blockbuster hit. And
Oh, God.
We'll be the only
And then
ones
you reveal it.
based on gonads.
Yes, the smaller ones actually represented testicles.
And then we
the
had,
larger ones
and then
were
we have
ovaries.
the podcast as proof.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's genius.
And people will go back through old episodes and be like, "Oh my God!"
Oh boy. We should move on.
Should we? I don't know. We should explore this concept.
You want to get into the gonad idea anymore? Day 563.
No,
We
I think
built the machine.
the machine. Okay, so I think we're good. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my God. This all came out of How Are You Most Likely to Show Your Partner You Care with a gonad movie.
I think that would be appropriate
Yeah.
for us. Like if I had a bunch of money, I'd be like, it's time. My love.
Well, I mean, it's funny too because nobody really questioned movies like Alien or Predator when those came out, and there is a ton of genital imagery in those movies. Mm. Like, Predator's all about macho men being attacked by a vagina monster.
Wonder what that's all about.
Anyway, that's my film theory, but there have been a few people who agree with me that I've read. Anyway, let's move on from there. I think she'll accept any answer.
Yeah.
Is art important to you? Oh, yes.
For us, yeah.
And to her, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a yes or no question, and I think she'll only accept yes.
Yeah, sure.
I think it might be a little important. But, yeah, I mean, the value of art is...
Well,
pretty
I'm an artist.
Right, and I am also an artist.
Yeah. So, self-explanatory.
But you're an artist and an academic. I have no other skills.
I'm an academic. Yeah, that's it for you.
Yeah. So if my art career doesn't pan out, back to the drawing board.
At least one of us has a career.
Yeah.
And ahead of us, hopefully.
Right. We could talk about the value of art, but just generally we can say it's valuable, it's essential.
I don't think you have to explain this one as like, is art important? Cool. All right. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a necessary part of society. There's so much misery in the world that, you want something to, like, I'm including all forms of entertainment under this umbrella. And you need something to just, like, not be overwhelmed all the time by how things are in media, in politics, and just people being dicks to each other all the time. Art is important.
Go art. How many children would you ideally like to have? None, 1 to 2, 3 to 4, or 5 or more.
Oof.
Freyja doesn't want kids.
No, we said she
is open
if she
to
found
it?
the right person, she'd be open to it.
I don't think she wants 5 or...
No,
3.
like she's open to it, but I think ideally she'd like to have none, maybe.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, she probably
I'm
has.
pretty sure I said Like
some
in
like fertility sort of proclivities.
No, we've said she's had abortions, but that doesn't affect future
That doesn't
pregnancies.
necessarily That doesn't necessarily mean she wouldn't like to in the future. It just might not have been like the right time for her.
I think she would prefer to just continue. I don't think she even like thinks about
Right.
it.
Well, we said in her profile she doesn't think about the future.
Yeah. So I would say none, because if she's only thinking about now.
But I think with the qualifier, like right now anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But like for preferences, maybe just put none, like a hard none, because right now the answer is none.
I don't think she cares what her mates would ideally like to have someday.
That's acceptable.
Yeah.
I'll accept that logic.
Because, if you're just dating around and you're not willing to settle down, who cares about how many kids your partner wants to have someday?
Yeah.
Can anything be made the subject of a joke?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, anything can be found funny in the right light, or no, some subjects should not be joked about. We've talked about this quite a bit already.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a repeat. And I think, we settled on anything can be funny in the right light because, as we said, it's about reading the room and proper context.
Oh, yeah, we did talk a lot about that. Yeah, we don't
so
need to
I don't,
go over
yeah.
this.
Do you put more weight in science or faith?
Oh, honey.
Science, faith, or equally in both? And I'm glad it has that third option.
This could actually be an interesting question to answer because science does not have all answers.
Mm-hmm.
Faith has a very bad history.
Faith has, I put in air quotes, answers. Doesn't necessarily mean they're quantifiable answers, though. But it does have answers for people looking for them.
True.
And that's why it's called faith, because, you don't have to necessarily see what you're believing in. So I understand that being the easy route for a lot of people. And science is difficult and complex, and, I barely understand it myself, because it encompasses the makeup of all things around you, and I can totally understand how people would see that and be like, you know what? Magic.
But just
fucking
as like
magnets, how do they work?
Just like as an easier way to explain the world.
Yeah.
But once you learn how things actually work, it's fascinating. It just takes more time.
It is really interesting to see people of faith learn and talk about science. And I assume you probably have encountered religious people in academics.
Not much.
No? I assume it would be rare, but, you do see the rare person who kind of balances that out. And I think it's, whatever the moral compass of their faith means to them is fine.
What I see in academics is people who say, like, oh, I believe in this kind of concept from this faith, but it doesn't guide me.
I've also seen people say, like, yeah, I believe the science is real, but I also believe that that my particular God created it.
Like, I have an example. Like, I kind of believe in karma. Like, I don't have any scientific proof, but, like, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, do good to the world, Maybe it'll do you a good one back.
But I also think there's kind of a social reasoning for that, because if you go out and do good to the world, people
there's a
that.
chance that you will actually,
right.
But it's not like, the idea of karma itself is more like spiritual. Like, it's not like we have two ways to determine that word.
And for me, like, the way I talk about religion, a lot of people might think that I'm like staunch atheist, and I'm honestly not. I consider myself agnostic because I don't fucking know. It's I don't think that we can know. I don't think it's knowable right now from our situation. So I think it's completely equally likely that, there's a unicorn in deep space that we can't see that controls everything. I think it's likely that we're a science experiment for, a 5-year-old in another dimension who's, doing like my first chemistry set in their test tubes.
I'm just
It
gonna
could be anything.
I'm gonna play it. I play it safe and just like believe in Cthulhu. Because playing
Hey, cosmic beings, why not?
like not playing it safe is like if it turns out that like the Dark Lords are real and you're like fuck that shit, I don't believe in that. Like you're definitely going to like the more hell of hell. Opposed to just hell.
It's less difficult to it's the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Share a fondue with Cthulhu.
Oh yeah. Well, that rhymes too.
Kinda, yeah.
I like it. That's our views. I think Freyja would say faith.
I think she might say equally in both.
Faith.
No? You think so?
Hard faith.
But not, not like a specific religious dogma.
Like metaphysical.
Right,
faith.
and I think we need to explain that.
Like I'm a Reiki master.
Not religion. Like let's have her say I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual.
Yeah.
Because it's the most cliche thing ever.
Yeah. And what is Freyja, if not cliche?
Right. And she'll accept
any of the above.
Yeah. Next question. Do you think drug use with your partner can be a romantic activity? Yes or no? I think it depends entirely on what you want to get out of it.
And the drug.
Yeah. I mean, if you're both dropping Molly, you're probably, gonna get into some pretty comfy situations.
But if you're like PCPing it up, maybe
Let's
not.
do a bunch of coke!
Or like heroin. Just like, let's shoot up and lie down. Be like train spotting.
Right. Which was not
romantic
at all.
Yeah.
No, sink into the carpet.
Right. Kill a baby.
Right. Rob your friends. So I feel like it
depends.
Well, I feel like it can enhance certain sensations, but at the same time, you already kind of have to have that the predisposition to be romantic with your partner. Like, it's not gonna just come out of nowhere.
It doesn't create romance.
Right. So I think it can be an activity you do with someone with whom you're romantic,
but it doesn't.
But it's not in itself a romantic activity.
Yeah.
I think Freyja does think it's a romantic activity.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So we're gonna say a hard yes on that one, and I think she'll accept. I don't know. Will she accept any or just yes? She probably wants to do that with people.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? How often do you masturbate? Once a day or more, a few times a week, a few times a month, a few times a year or less.
Now, what's kind of funny about this is I feel like straight women looking at guys' profiles, if you're basic and you don't have a healthy attitude about sex or masturbation, are going to see this and be like, oh my god, this is such a pathetic question. But like guys seeing women filling out this question would be like, oh my god, that's so hot.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Because women are repressed in their sexualities.
Yep, unfortunately.
How often does Freyja masturbate?
Probably a few times a week, I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, we did say
Are you sure? Because she's kind of lazy.
Well, I don't think she's that lazy. Like, she likes getting off as much as possible.
Yeah, but she's, like, around others pretty often. When would she have the time? Maybe she make the time for herself.
Well, that's the thing. Like, she probably doesn't have to because she'll just have someone to do it for her.
So just the qualifier would be like, I don't have to. People do it for me.
Like, I have people who do that for me. So a few times a month, let's say.
Yeah.
Oh god, how sad do you have to be like a few times a year or less? Sad.
That's like not even good for you.
No, it's not.
Especially if you're a man, like you do need
that's
to.
That's pent up aggression.
The aggression.
That's the point where you have to start repressing shit.
Well, at that point, I'm more thinking like medically healthy.
Yeah.
I think like you kind of have to like at least a few times a year to like get that out.
Yeah. Otherwise, like mildly brushing up with someone in a crowd is going to set you off at some point.
I don't know. The male penis, who knows?
I think she'll accept anything except a few times a year,
yeah.
'cause new. And that's somewhat?
I don't think that's very important.
No, let's say somewhat. I usually have people who do that for me.
Just really like that sass.
And that's gonna attract some interesting attention, I think, too.
Yeah.
We do want those weird-ass messages.
Uh-huh.
Who are you most likely to reveal a dark, provocative secret to? My friends, my partner, a family member, or no one? I keep secrets to myself.
Define dark, provocative secret. Like,
Yeah.
did you kill a guy?
And I think maybe we need an explanation for that, too. Like, are you talking about murder, or...
Or, like, did you
Like,
shoplift
how
when you
dark
were
are your
6?
secrets,
Yeah.
And this is just who you'd most likely reveal just your baggage and your shit to. And I think it's friends.
Skeletons in the closet.
Yeah, I think for her it's probably friends, and for me it's my friends. For you it's probably your therapist.
You don't tell me your deepest, darkest secrets?
I mean, like, partner, sure, but I mean, I also, like, we have a partnership based on friendship, so, like, I consider
you would
that
consider me a friend.
as far as
I'm your,
this category,
I'm your
yeah.
sex friend. Is that what I am?
No, you're obviously my partner, just, I feel like, for the purposes of this question, I would most likely reveal it to my friends.
And I would just
the
be
people who
included in that category.
Yeah. I feel like the people who know me the most are like you and my sister and like a couple of my closest friends who I've just like, I keep my cards relatively close to my heart with this. But
well, you don't have exactly like we haven't killed that many people.
Not that many, no.
So not a whole lot to share.
So I think Freya is probably going to say friends, and I don't think she cares who other people talk to. I do wish this had like an anyone I'm an open book kind of
option, because that's actually more of me. Like if you want to know, just ask.
Right.
But I'm not going to tell you. Like, I think for me it would be more like emotional content.
Right, yeah.
Not like I've...
Right, like...
I don't know, there's a difference there.
I mean, I don't really think either of us have dark, provocative secrets, really. I mean, there's nothing that I haven't really told you about that, like... This goes back to the question we answered about, like, after you die, if people would be surprised at the things they find. This also assumes if you had one...
Oh, who would you tell?
Right. It's... my tiny circle of people who I allow to be privy to that information, who I know won't use it against me. And
my psychiatrist who legally can't use it against me.
And, this isn't me disparaging psychiatry at all. I just don't have a therapist.
Yeah.
So.
They're great.
Get one.
No, seriously, they're great. Like, go get you need therapy. Everyone needs therapy.
And
our last question is, how frequently do you go out of your way to make others feel appreciated? Way more than average, about average, less than average, / never.
I mean, what's average, though?
Fuck if I know. It would depend on your situation.
It depends on the person, for me. Like, if I appreciate someone, I'll generally tell them that, but do I go out of my way to tell just kind of casual acquaintances or decent friends that? Probably not so much. Well, maybe that's about average.
It depends on your situation, because if you're in a coma, you can't tell anyone that you appreciate.
I don't think this is about being in a coma.
I'm just saying it's situational, right? Like, some people are not in the position where like they can feel grateful or like be appreciative, like.
Right, well, we're talking
like if you're depressed, you know, like you can't.
That's what I was going, yeah.
In the mindset you're in, like that's just not within your capacity to do. Right. But if you're like a philanthropist and you have like $1 billion, like you can probably do it all the time, and like that would be your average. So it's like completely contextual.
Yeah, but I think from the lens of Freya, as far as how she perceives herself, I think she probably thinks that she makes others feel appreciated way more than average.
Yeah. And I would say that would be an overestimate on her
Yeah.
part.
But she doesn't know that.
No. Poor Freyja.
And she'll accept, I think, anything except less than average or never.
Yeah.
And that's somewhat important.
Yeah.
And let's do our top 3.
Top 3. Oh, we got the same one from last week.
Yeah, we've got the woman who has the kind of alt look, so we can skip over that. And is that man wearing a skirt or is that pouches?
I think those are pouches. Yeah.
It's kind of in a skirty formation.
No. Those are like construction.
Yeah, I know.
Pouches.
He's also, but he does have a Rosie the Riveter shirt on, which I appreciate.
And a pink
hat and shirt.
Pink safety hat. Yeah.
Safety hat and shirt. Yeah. Seems like a large burly man.
Yeah.
He's looking for a bearded lady.
That's specific.
Is heteroflexible.
30% bear.
Bald, the sexy bald, not the old man way to young bald. He says cunt is probably my favorite swear word. Louis C.K. has
a good bit on it.
That is a fantastic bit, I will say.
Yeah.
If you're looking for the specific one, it's at the very beginning of his special called Chewed Up, which is very funny. Yeah, this guy's all right. Seems interesting, relatively inoffensive.
How can I be Ron Swanson when I grow up? That is a valid question that I think we all ask ourselves at night.
I wonder if he's serious about the bearded lady thing, though. Because that's an interesting facet we have not explored in this podcast. We are kink positive, though. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is the other guy, the Ask guy. So we've gotten 2 of them before. So it seems we haven't really matched with too many new people. So we'd like to thank our listeners for following the show. You can find us at our website, faculty.ca, fakvlty.ca, which has links to our shows on archive.org, iTunes, and YouTube, and some other stuff that we write. We do some blog content.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I'm currently working on a column about a road trip I took through the BC interior, and another one about the Alien movie franchise.
And I'm thinking about writing stuff.
Yeah. Well, you're busy.
No, yeah. I've got shit to do. You can spread the word with the hashtag Fine Freyja. That's FINEFREYJA. Or please leave a review for us on iTunes. We would very much appreciate that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I also want to thank James R. Bayless for his disclaimer in the top of the show. We recorded together in a booth before we started this, and it was a good time. He's a great talent, and you can reach his voice agent, Gemma Crow, at gemma@turnerfilmgroup.com. So this has been Fine Freyja. I'm Mark.
And I'm Natasha.
And as always,
love someone with your genitals.